So last video we derived this lovely formula for the sum of the interior angles of a polygon, namely 180 times by n minus 2, where n is the number of sides of a polygon. This video we're going to look at how we apply this formula in several different situations. And the first of which is to use this formula to find the sum of the interior angles of a 10-sided shape. So looking at a formula, do you think you know what value n is going to take? Correct, n needs to be 10 because we're looking at a 10-sided shape. So if n equals 10, our strategy is going to be to substitute this value into this formula. So if n equals 10, we get the sum of the interior angles is equal to 180 times by 10 take away 2. Well, 10 take away 2 is 8. And if you think back to our last video, that's the number of triangles we can split our 10-sided shape into. 180 times by 8 is 1440 degrees. So all of the interior angles in our 10-sided shape must add up to that. Okay, so we're going to try the same thing again. This time I'm going to go through this one on the right, where at home you can go through this one on the left, following along with what I do over here. Feel free to pause the video if you need a little bit of time to catch up once I finish the step. But yeah, you should be working through this one while I have a go at this one. So, find the sum of the angles in a 9-sided shape. So in this case, because we've got 9 sides, that tells me that n is equal to 9. Just have a little bit of a think about what n should be in your question. Okay, so now let's substitute that in. So the sum is equal to 180 times by 9 minus 2. Well, 9 minus 2 is 7, so I'm going to do 180 times by 7, and 7 8s are 56, so I've got 560 plus the 700 gives me 1260 degrees. So the sum of the angles in our 9-sided shape is 1260 degrees. Pause now if you just need a little bit of time to finish off the UD question. Okay, so hopefully you've finished the UD question. Let's quickly work through the answer to see if you've got it correct. So n is equal to 7 in this case. So our sum is equal to 180 times by 7 minus 2. Well, 7 take away 2 is equal to 5. So we're going to do 180 times by 5. Easiest way to times by 5 is to times it by 10 and half it. So that gives me 900 degrees. Okay, so this question, we've got a little bit of a common twist on the questions we've been looking at. So this time, instead of being told the number of sides and being asked to work out the sum of the interior angles, we're told that the sum of the interior angles adds up to 1980, and we're asked how many sides it has. And so our general strategy is going to be quite similar to last time. We're going to substitute this number into our lovely formula, but instead of substituting the value in for n, we're going to substitute the value in for the sum of the interior angles. So what does that look like? Well, the sum of the interior angles is 1980, and that is equal to 180 n minus 2. Okay, now we've got to take a few extra steps here because this is an equation that needs solving. Okay, now in the past you might have seen that we expand the brackets out and to solve equations like this. But with these questions, we're pretty much guaranteed that 180 is going to go into 1980 because of the context of the question. So what I can do is I can get rid of the 180 first. So we need to think, what's the 180 doing to our bracket? That's right, it's timesing. So the opposite of timesing by 180 is dividing by 180. So if we divide both sides by 180, Well, it gets rid of the 180 on this side, so we're left with n take away 2. Now on this side, 1980 divided by 180, that's quite a tricky problem. 10 to lots of 180 are 1800. So if we add one more 180 on, that gives us 11. So our answer here on this side is going to be 11. 1980 divided by 180 is 11. Okay, so our next step, well, we don't really need these brackets anymore because it's not being times by anything. So we need to get rid of this minus 2. Now the opposite of that minus 2 is plus 2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. 11 plus 2 is 13. And that is equal to n. So remember, we've got to put these things back into context. So that means we have 13 sides to our polygon.